Hi, everyone. My name is Sierra Williams, and I am an instructional coach for Springfield City School District and the owner of Sierra Williams Writes. Today, I have the opportunity to sit with some of the city's most innovative school leaders from City Day Community School, where we'll be talking about their mission, vision, some of the restorative practices they're doing, and just all of the amazing things that are happening at City Day. Before we begin, we're just going to go around the room, and I'm going to have everyone introduce themselves with their name, their role at City Day, and how long they've been there, starting with Ms. Graham.
Good evening. My name is Paula Graham. I'm the principal here at City Day Community School. I've been at City Day 18 years. However, I started out as a teacher and became a principal 10 years ago.
I'm Darren Bell with Restorative Justice Arts, a community partner with City Day. We're in our 7th year maintaining restorative practices at City Day.
My name is Ronald Hightower, Dean of Discipline. Been at City Day for 4 years now.
I'm Heather Shingler. I'm the instructional coach and lead teacher for 3rd and 4th grade, and I've been at City Day for 18 years.
I'm Shatira Freeman. I am the middle school lead teacher, and I've been at City Day for 4 years.
I'm Daniel Cook. I'm a community partner, and I've been with City Day for the last 7 years.
My name is Emmanuel Bell. I'm the school counselor at City Day Community School, and this is my 8th year at City Day.
My name is Crystal Gilbert Mosley, and I am the superintendent at City Day Community School, and I have been here 8 years.
All right, as we're diving into this conversation today, this will be conversation style. So those of you who are watching online, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the comments and we'll be sure to answer them as we get them. So just to kind of start off, can the school leaders just kind of share with us, what is your mission and vision at City Day?
Well, I started at City Day 8 years ago, and I remember that day just like it was yesterday. I remember walking into the school and thought it was very clean, and I remember the shining floors. And then the kids came, and I remember 3 8th graders, and they were playing around in the hallway, and I told them to go to class. And I remember one of them looked me up and down and said, "Who is you?" And I responded, "Just go to class." And from that moment for about a year, it was complete chaos. I was dealing with disrespectful kids. I was dealing with fights every day. And I remember my first year at the school, we suspended approximately 70 students that school year. And I remember going home feeling very depressed and stressed because I had waited all my life to get my own school, and this wasn't it. And I remember for a year, I just questioned whether this was something that I really wanted to do. But then it came to me one night at 3 o'clock in the morning as I woke up that it had to be something else. And I said to myself, this is my house. This is my school. And so therefore, I must decide the vision for this school. And so I knew that I did not want to be a punitive school. And so I reached out to Mr. Darren Bell. And I wanted to be restorative. So we started the restorative process. But it was more than that. So then, about approximately 3 years after that, we came up with what we call the 100% vision. And our vision at City Day is that 100% of our scholars will be at or above grade level in reading and math because we foster a high expectation and achievement. Now, when you say 100%, many people, how are you going to get 100% of your school kids on grade level? Well, the question is, why not? And when you look at any other profession, my question was, if you went to a doctor or a heart surgeon and the heart surgeon said that they only had a 30% success rate, would you go to that heart surgeon? Or you went to a lawyer and the lawyer said that they only won 30% of their cases, would you hire that lawyer? So why would you choose a school that only had a success rate of 30% of their kids on grade level? So what happened to the other 70%? So it required a paradigm shift of understanding that our kids, 100% of them, deserve the best of us. And our goal is to make sure that all 100%, all 200 kids are at or above grade level by 2026. That's the reason, and that's our vision of this city.
Awesome. You mentioned that the goal is having 100% of scholars at or above grade level in reading and math by 2026. That is a very ambitious goal. And as educators, one of the things that we hear all the time is, but the kids are low. You know, we had COVID. So how do you all balance high expectations in the school while also providing individualized support for those students who are low and need it the most?
I can take this one. At City Day, we have a very strong academic program. From the jump, we put the kids in tiers based on their academic performances. At that point, then the kids really receive interventions based on their needs. That's really important to us. We make sure that we look at the strengths of each student. We look at the passions. We look at their vision. We look at their values. And then we go from there. So we're not just always looking at their deficits, but we're looking at their strengths too and going on those. From those interventions, we pull everyone at City Day, including our intervention team, or our leadership team, we pull kids based on our expertise. From there, then we progress monitor. So we're constantly keeping our thumb on how our students are doing in the classroom and outside of the classroom. We monitor their progress constantly. We also move groups around based on the student need, and that's really important to us. So like I said, we base our academic program on the individual needs of the students. So I'll give it to the lead teachers to maybe piggyback on what I'm talking about here.
So something else that we do to help with our goal is not only do we tier based on the star, but we also have dibbles through Amplify in class. And we test them on dibbles, and then every 10 lessons we progress monitor. So the lessons are tailored to that specific student. We also have tutoring for our 3rd and 4th grades students and a few of the 2nd graders as well. So that's really helped with the small group pullouts, the literacy specialists, and those groups change. We also do our reading improvement plans. Based on those tiers, we've done the dyslexia testing through STAR CBM last year. And we started out right at the beginning of the school year with those students already in groups. So they're getting pulled out with our literacy specialists.
Yeah, we also, for our middle school students, we also have our reading coaches and our math coaches who pull our students who are low, and we work with them with specialized, personalized instruction to make sure that they get what they need. So when they're in the classroom, they can say, oh, okay, this is why I needed that personalized instruction to better help them with their grade level curriculum.
And to finish that, every student at City Day is put on their individual success plan. So we, as an administrative team, meet with each individual student. They have individualized goals. They have to meet those goals. They know what those goals are. There's no secret. We are big at City Day on telling kids the truth. So we let them know if they're performing under where we feel like they should be. We do encourage them to, we talk about strategies that they can do at home, strategies they can do at school in order to improve their performance. We are, especially in literacy.
And we offer incentives to our kids. So if they meet their goals, they can go skating, or they can go to Sing 75, or they can go to King Diamond. So we're constantly incentivizing everything that we do because we want them to be successful, but there should be a reward at the end of it.
So just speaking like specifically on academics, how do you all incorporate parents and families in supporting this goal? I know right now there's this big, I feel like a versus teachers versus parents but just on academics, not behaviors right now, how do you guys incorporate your families into supporting your academic goals?
I partner with a lot of my parents, via text or, communicating over the phone to let them know, hey, this is where your child is, and this is what we are trying to do here at City Day to help better your student. I push our students to, continue to read at home. By me teaching ELA, I've learned that many of our students don't read outside of school. So I have a little library that I tell students, here, take this book, I want you to read it, and then come back and let's discuss it. So when I do that, I do communicate with parents to say, hey, this is what your child needs, this is what your child is struggling with. Let us both partner to help them, because it's not just the teachers, the parents also have to be involved.
And I think too, we send their progress reports, so their reading goals, and math goals home with their report cards. So sometimes when the student isn't performing well with their grades, but we know that their ability is high, parents can see that too. So.
And here recently, with the lead teachers, asking them to show ownership with their cluster, to run their particular group just as it's their own school. So they're now required to reach out to parents. Teachers are required to contact parents every week, having that communication with them. Because we do know now, because this has been a process. Now we're at the point where we need that parental help in order to get to that 100%. We all have to be on the same page. We have to be able to partner with parents, and they have to buy into what we're doing.
All right, let's kind of shift a little bit here. So we spent some time talking about academics. So let's look at restorative practices. So this is kind of like one of those taboo topics in education because people don't understand it, but I've watched it be very effective at City Day. So Mr. Darren Bell, can you talk to us a little bit about restorative justice arts and then how you implemented that at City Day?
Yes, well, our team at Restorative Justice Arts, a team of licensed practitioners that train not only locally, but nationally also. But I applaud City Day. Once again, we're in our 7th year of working with City Day. And let me be clear, when I talk about applauding City Day, it's sticking to the plan for the proper implementation of restorative practices. Some of the trends that you hear a lot, schools, other organizations are using restorative justice. Well, something has happened, a suspension and expulsion, multiple referrals of negative behavior, or there's restorative practices, which that model was focused on prevention. The thing specifically I applaud City Day for is the fact that when it became time for considering restorative practices for implementation, the superintendent and a small team, we met to go over a phase that I really consider is omitted sometimes. I know a lot of times different places can be quick to implement, but as a licensed practitioner, 2 phases that happens actually before implementation are the readiness phase and the introduction phase. What that looks like is the readiness phase is mainly for core teams to familiarize themselves with the practices of restorative practices, just getting familiar, getting buy-in and understanding from the top, but also with a building-wide implementation plan. So once again, prior to implementation, there's the introduction of it. It needs to be introduced in understanding and clarity to parents, to community partners, and most importantly, to staff and then students. With that being said, what clarifies the whole implementation plan are 5 phases, which looks like, once again, the readiness phase, the introduction phase, then the implementation phase, after you've gone through a readiness checklist to make sure the staff and students are on board with the goals of creating student peer leaders, doing circle modeling and more. And then when you get to the sustainability and enrichment phase, that's an area where usually by that time, midway through the school year, maybe even sooner, you've had to deal with some discipline. Maybe suspensions, a fight has come up. Well, there's a traditional discipline model, and then there are restorative practices that can be implemented in that model of getting to the why and the understanding of repairing hurt, harm, anything that may have happened in the community. Once again, to strengthen, build relationships, not only for academic success, for life success, and building wide success in the school.
Awesome. Mr. Hightower, you mentioned that you're the Dean of Discipline. So what challenges have you faced when it comes to implementing restorative practices, and how do you address them?
Oh, man. Really like a challenge, really not a challenge. I would just say the buy-in from the teachers. You know, at first when I got there, you know, we had teachers, you know, well, I do it like this and I'm doing it like that. You know, but when I had to sit down with Ms. Mosley, Ms. Graham, you know, we came together and, you know, we talked about the mission, you know, everybody being on one accord. And for me, you know, it just, you know, breath of fresh air for me because I'm like, all right, cool, we all on the same page. You know, so for me, like I said, it really wasn't, it's not a challenge, it's just the buy-ins from the teacher. And being that I have rapport with, you know, just about everybody in the school, you know, it was easy for me to make that switch.
Mr. Cook, how have these practices impacted relationships between students, staff, and families?
Well, in my role at City Day, my job is not only to bring along the faith-based community, but also try to bridge the gap between the parent and school. So what we do is a lot of times myself and Mr. Dale, we are involved a lot in the community and especially with the parents and students. With me, with the students, restorative practice gives the students a voice between them and the teacher. That way they can have, if there's a problem in the classroom or anything like that, it gives them an equitable voice. It's not always just an adult, but sometimes sometimes adults can be wrong.
Absolutely.
And, and a lot of times the student really don't have a voice, but in restorative practices, everybody has a say, everybody has a voice. And then when you bring in on the parent content, the one thing I really do applaud to the day of, number one, from day one, before day one, we bring in what's called the parent circle, which is either new parents or the veteran parents. We all sit together and we let them know what their expectations is and give them their voice at that moment. That way they understand what their expectations are. And if the parents have any expectations outside the scope of what we have, we sit down and we consider those things and we do it.
And just piggybacking off of what Mr. Cook said as far as the students, one good example of that is that we actually took students out for an outing yesterday. We took them to, we took our student leadership team, the City Day Royals, to Olive Garden, and we had conversations with them, just addressing the ideas of what's working in school, how is the school year going, what are some things that we can do as a staff to improve to best address needs for students, but we're also looking to make sure that they know and reiterate the expectations, because we do have expectations for them as being leaders in the school, but we also want to make sure that we're modeling those expectations so that the students know that they have people that are actually in their corners.
And Mr. Bell, that definitely ties into the restorative practices part of the work because it gives another opportunity to circle up with dining, right? And that's the thing, and I'll make this quick. Restorative practices, you're working preventively. We're working with the dean of behavior. Okay, you know, maybe a fight has happened, but what did it look like? And so when being able to interject those things, going back to what you shared, Mr. Emmanuel Bell, is the fact that it's a non-punitive approach. Restorative practices is a non-punitive approach to getting to the why. And if anything needs to be repaired, if it needs to be equitable voice, it's a great opportunity. It's restorative practices isn't centered around just looking at discipline and negative behavior. We're working preventively 80% of the time, and then there's that 20% where things do happen to keep it from happening again. Thank you. That was great.
Okay, we're going to jump back into restorative practices, but I had a quick pause. Can you guys explain to us what are the City Day Royals?
Okay, the City Day Royals, that's our student leadership team. It used to consist of our 8th grade students, but we expanded it to our 7th grade students as a means for legacy purposes. Now, the biggest thing that we wanted to do with the Royals is that we know in our school that we're trying to build productive members of society. So the biggest thing behind the City Day Royals is that we wanted to give students an opportunity to be productive members of City Day first. So the biggest thing that we wanted to do is we bring them in it's a leadership team. They have to interview, they have to apply, they have to make sure that their behavior stays on point, and they have to make sure that their grades stay on point in order to remain a Royal. Because they are the student leaders, because they are they are the leaders of our school, we expect high things from them. So the biggest thing is that they're our leadership team, and we want to make sure that we give them opportunities to put them in roles of leadership.
Awesome. Okay, we're back to restorative practices. Can someone share a success story about how restorative practices have helped resolve a conflict or even just transform the student's experience overall?
Okay. One particular student that I can think of is a student that we've been working with this year. Every single teacher has been talking about how much the student has improved, especially from the start of the year. When he first came to us, there were a lot of fights with this student. There were a lot of different things that have happened. Actually, the parent of the student was a former student of Mrs. Mosley's. And we had the conversation with them, just bringing them in as a restorative practice first. We talked with them, and she said that her son had been an issue, and he started off as an issue. But here, as of late, he has not been an issue due to the fact of he's had Mr. Hightower supporting him, myself supporting him, Mr. Cook supporting him, and just about everybody else on this leadership team supporting him, Mrs. Shingler with the tutoring and those kinds of different things. So we really just brought those services around him to make sure to know that he has support here, that we care about him, and the student practically has done a 180 since the start of the year. And we can't say great things about him, enough great things about him. We're proud of him, and we hope that he continues the trajectory of where he's going.
And for me, my success story as a kid we had a couple years ago. Oh man. First call, received a call from Ms. Mosley. Mr. Hightower to the office. I'm like, all right. First thing I do, I walk in, Ms. Mosley. I didn't do it. Well, sit down and got to talk. I said, okay. Talked about this kid that was expelled. So, we heard expelled, like that's a red flag. So we like, oh man. So I'm like, oh, here we go. So told me about him. He's a good kid, just was in a bad situation. And as Ms. Mosley always say, God give us grace every day. So, I was like, okay. So we met with the family. And for me, I'm like, no, I want to see the kid. I want to meet the parents. So we did. We met with the parents first, and then the kid, he came in and we talked to him, and I told him, I said, listen, Miss Mosley wants you here, so I'm gonna give you a chance. I'm gonna give you some grace, but if you come here, you got to cut all the negative behaviors from your last school, and when you come here, you got a clean slate. So of course, like all kids say, okay. So he was in compliance with it. So, man, success story for him. Oh man, we had 0 incidents out of this kid. I mean, no incidents at all. We maybe had to talk to him a few times, but as far as referrals, no issues at all. And long story short, he was an 8th grader and he became our photographer. The donuts for dad, buses for mom, graduation. He was snapping pictures left and right. It was a great success story for him to been expelled from another school and to come to City Day and just give him a little love and grace, just to see.
And he even became a speaker at our graduation.
And I spoke at graduation. Yeah, most definitely. So.
Wow, that's awesome. I know sometimes in our conversations with restorative practices, I'll hear educators say it feels like the kids are getting off, or the punishment wasn't strong enough, or that's kind of the language they use. So this question would be more specific to Ms. Mosley or Ms. Graham. What would you say to school leaders who want to implement restorative justice or restorative practices in their schools, but fear teacher pushback?
Well, the first thing you have to do as the leader, you have to decide, because it's your school. Okay, it's your school, it's the vision for your school, so you have to buy into that. And the job of the leader is to get the buy-in and have those conversations and keep working it. Because what happens is you start having success. Because with people, they just have to see it. And so when, like the one, Mr. Bell just talked about, this little boy came in a problem and he totally turned it around. And so for the naysayer, okay, there you go. So it's not about, convincing everybody at the same time. You have to convince some people, one person at a time. So my job was to convince my team, okay? I have a team of 8 people, 7 people. So once they bought in, Jesus changed the world before people. So once they bought in, then it's just a ripple effect. And once it starts showing its success, then the buy-in comes. It's not gonna happen in.
Not only that, you gotta walk the walk too.
Yes.
A lot of people talk, but I mean, just me coming in, like I said, it's year 4 for me. Just to see the hard work that Miss Mosley, I mean, everybody at the round table, but Miss Mosley, Miss Graham put in day and night on the weekend. I'm like, nah, I ain't working.
On the weekend.
Yeah, but you buy into, to the mission, and for all of us to, gather up, outside of school, on the weekends, it speaks volumes. So, like I
Well,
said before, you gotta.
And to share that, one thing that I think is effective too is Ms. Mosley and I have both been classroom teachers. So we've been on that side. We're not just coming from the land of business and we run it as such. We empathize and we get it. And we also know that a lot of teachers, myself included at times, you focus on those 2 or that 20%, those kids that are really acting up and all of that, but you ignore the 80% that are not. So sometimes it really does change your mindset when we celebrate the success that we're having. And we celebrate. I think that's one of our strengths here at City Day is we celebrate the small successes because the kids, or even just the daily, the kid that didn't fight today and he fought yesterday, that kind of thing. We celebrate those because that is a win for us.
So it just sounds like overall City Day has a really awesome culture. So what do you all do to promote a culture of high expectations and achievement? What does that look like at City Day?
So every morning, our students says the vision, the pledge, and our serenity prayer. And we just added a daily positive affirmations. And I make sure middle school students understand what they are saying and they're just not reciting something. I want to make sure they understand what it means to have high expectations for themselves. So we discuss what that looks like in students, what that looks like academically, what that looks like behaviorally, what that looks like personally. Then we as staff at City Day, we have to model those expectations. We have to be leaders of the school because the kids are looking at us. We can't expect them to do something if we're not holding ourselves to that same expectations. Then we also, like Mr. Cook stated, we have parent meetings. We have expectations of our parents. We can't just say, okay, we're gonna take your student, but you can't be a parent today. No, we have expectations that we uphold and we want our parents to uphold. So we wanna make sure our culture is inclusive to our students. We're here for our students. We can't be successful if our students aren't successful. And that means parents have to be involved, the teacher and staff have to be involved, and the child has to be involved. So when we talk about that culture, we want to make sure that we are all meeting those expectations. And if someone is slacking, okay, it's okay to slack right now, but how can we continue to build up from here? We talk about positive words. We want to make sure that we are speaking positive and our words that we're saying to ourselves and to our students are impactful to them. So that's what I look at when I think of the culture of high expectations.
And not only that, you know, culture where we have high expectations for our children, for the teachers and the staff, and then also for the parents, we have high expectations for the community as well. With all of the community partners, including restorative justice arts that we bring in high octane people that are looking to make a difference in our students. So, for example, whether it's My Brother's Keeper or whether it's the students that going to the YMCA, we really try to be intentional about bringing members into the community that want to make a difference and that see the need for our students. So we really honestly believe that the community plays a big part in that as well.
And that also plays a big role, and to what both of you stated in relations to, once again, when it comes to restorative practices, it's not just circles. It's not just when an incident happens and it gets watered down, the response. Let me get rid of that myth. Accountability is always there.
Yes.
But there's also the repair and the reharm. So let's say a student has to get sent home, where they're going to still have contact with the school, they're still going to be loved, they're still going to get everything academically they need, and most importantly, getting to the why. Evidence have shown in the practices is that you will have favorable outcomes when you do something with a student or staff than to them. And with that being said, that brings up 3 areas: restorative chats, restorative conversations, and restorative conferences. And when the building leaders and the staff are modeling that, which that happens at the City Day, then you get the positive response, the paradigm shift, and overall a building-wide impact of how things can be without being punitive.
And the first thing that you have to do as a school leader is work on adult behavior. That's what controls the culture of the school. When the adult behavior changes, student behavior will change, period.
And I'm to just share with that, I feel like we develop a culture of excellence by growing our teachers. I really feel strongly that we give the teachers, I've heard, and something I'm very proud of, is that we support our teachers in every way. They have what they need to teach. They have the environment they need to teach in. Also, every teacher is put on a professional development plan. So anytime there's a need for content or instructional supplies, they're there. So we do grow our teachers. Now we hold them accountable for that. So we do have excellent teachers because again, a school is about their teachers. Something Ms. Mosley taught me when we partnered together is our client really isn't the students. It's the teachers, it's the staff. We serve our staff and in turn, they serve our students. And so, right, so we look for ways that we can reinforce that. We look for, like, for example, our students or our teachers get mental health days. So they're not burnt out, because the United States has an attrition level of teachers. They constantly, especially charter schools, a lot of charter schools have a revolving door of teachers. I can honestly say at City Day, you've heard it here. We really don't have the retention problems that other schools have. We keep our teachers. And I think because of that and that growth and what that we expect of them, that builds excellence in our school.
So that being said, and then we'll go to the next question. That means that we will not allow children to disrupt the learning of other children. We will not allow teachers not being able to teach. We all went to school to be educated. We all went to school to teach, and we're going to do that. So my job as the superintendent and Ms. Graham's job as the principal is to make sure teachers can do their job. So no child will be allowed to be a constant disruption in the classroom.
Okay. This question is specifically for the lead teacher and instructional coach. How do you all specifically support teachers with maintaining that culture of high expectations? What does that look like in your roles?
So we have TBT meetings, bi-weekly, where, we actually started out, in the younger grades with K through 4, and it was just too much. We could not get through everything that we needed to get through, so we ended up splitting K through 2, and then 3rd and 4th grade. So that way we can really dive into what our teachers need to help better their students and talk about data. And not only data, because data is important, but just as a teacher, you know your students, whether the data says they did great on that test or they didn't. Some students are bad test takers. So we talk about the students and how we can help serve them and differentiate instruction or do whatever we need to help them grow.
Do you want to add anything?
Like Ms. Shingler stated, when we meet in our TBTs, we have those moments where, okay, I'm having a difficult time with this student. How are they in your class? What are you doing so that now I can implement that with this student? We communicate with each other and we partner with our teachers to say, okay, what are you doing? Or whatever weaknesses that I have, I see that you're really good at that. So what are you doing that I can utilize? So we piggyback on each other to say, okay, well, this is what I'm doing. Oh, okay, I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna use this. Oh, let me tell you, I used that and this student did amazing. So we do a lot of that in our TBTs. We try to come up with new strategies, even when it comes to teaching. I know in our middle school cluster, we have a lot of meetings where, hey, I taught this and my students aren't really grasping it. What am I missing? If I teach it to you, are you understanding it? So we do a lot of, okay, how can I better explain this to my students so my students can understand? So we definitely partner a lot and we support each other. I mean, and it's not just middle school cluster. I may communicate with Ms. Shingler to say, hey, Ms. Shingler, I need help with this. So we, around the building, we all communicate and partner with each other.
And one thing that actually has happened here lately, Dean of Discipline, myself, we've been a part of the TBTs to see how we can be best support as well. Whether it be academically on the intervention piece, because I do intervention as well, but also with the counseling piece and also with the discipline piece, how we can be best support for those students that may not be getting it.
And although I think City Day uses data to drive instruction and how the learners are doing, what I like is as an administrator coming in or just walking by classrooms, we have fun. Our kids, these teachers make learning fun. And because of that, there's a deeper understanding of the content. Where before, it's not just memorization anymore. It's not just, I don't monitor, you've got to be on page 3 of chapter 2 on Tuesday, because it really has to be, when they're ready, they're going to move on. And so I think that's where small groups come in. That's where I know we pull kids, to help them learn, but there's a deeper understanding at City Day because you guys make learning fun.
So just based on all of our conversations, I have no doubt that City Day will reach their 2026 goal of 100%. So when you get there, what's next? How are you going to maintain that and sustain it?
Good question.
Keep working.
Well, we just gonna keep doing what we're doing, and then keep pushing forward, keep growing in school, keep expanding. What I love about my team is we don't have a desire to have 12 schools. We just want to make the best of the 200 that we have each year and put 200 students out each year that are productive members of society. And you multiply that times 25, that's a lot of impact and a lot of kids. So we just want to keep doing what we're doing.
And I'd like to chime in on that too. Another thing, it was just been maybe a couple of weeks ago. We were out in Beaver Creek. The superintendent, City Day superintendent's leadership team presenting and sharing some best practices with multiple school districts. Almost set up on a panel like we are right now. So thinking that, we have this inner city community school embraced by multiple arts organizations, multiple community organizations that come serve us and that we have places to take students to for exposure and experiences. I think during this, what I would call the enrichment stage, being 7 years into restorative practices, that we have an unselfish leadership team and administrators that allow us to go to other school districts just to share best practices to keep them inspired. So maybe we grow from not only a restorative school, but a restorative community.
And me.
Love it. This is for Ms. Mosley and Ms. Graham. As leaders, what have you learned through this journey, and what advice would you give to other school leaders when it comes to implementing similar practices?
The first thing that you have to do as a school leader is you have to identify your vision. And you have to go through the good and the bad. But first of all, you have to decide, number one, is this what you really want to do? You know, we are dealing with human beings. They're difficult, they're challenging. Their parents are challenging. But you have to dive into that and really take control of your school. It's your school, and you control it. And my question is, you would not allow anyone to come into your house and disrespect you. But once you set the tone, everybody rises to the expectation. So as a school leader, number one, decide if this is really what you want to do. And number two, what is your vision for your school? Those would be the first two questions that I would ask another school leader if I was trying to help them change their school culture. You have to have transformational leadership in order to do this.
And I would piggyback on that because having that specific vision that is revisited over and over and over again and refocused on all the time, that creates everybody, although we are all different and we value each other's differences, our arrows are all going in the same direction. And that I can't say that always happened in the past. So now we know whatever project we're working on, we know those arrows are going towards our vision.
And whatever decision that is made is based upon the vision. So no program is coming into the school, no curriculum is going to be invited in the school if it is not in alignment with our vision.
Right. But I would tell school leaders, I think, you know, at one point, it was just Crystal and I. And now we have really created a shared leadership model, which you see here. And then on top of that, we've given that leadership to the students. So, and that takes trust. And it takes building that culture of trust and making sure that every single one of our leaders have that vision.
All right, before I ask this last question, to the people who are watching, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop those in the comments because this is going to be a lengthy answer. So what I want us to do is I want everyone to respond to this one. So why City Day? Or you can answer, what are you most proud of when you reflect on City Day? I would like for everybody to answer that.
I'll go first. It's easy for me. Every day I tell Ms. Mosley, man, I appreciate the opportunity being here. But, you know, just creating a position, the dean position for me. When I first started, I was all over the place. I wanted to be in the classroom. I wanted to be in the gym. I wanted to be everywhere just to see, you know, how we operate. But, you know, put me in that dean position, it really opened my eyes to a lot of stuff, and especially with these kids. You know, they with us for 8 hours, you know, the other 16 hours, what are they doing? You know, our minds are constantly, you know, on our kids. So for me, I would just say creating this position for me.
For me, it's twofold. Number one, as a practitioner in restorative practices, a school leadership, a school staff, and now students for many years now that are willing to follow the model of proper implementation and circling up for the right reasons. Having restorative chats, having restorative conversations, and that being allowed, and most importantly, it being consistent. It can look different classroom to classroom, and it should, but building wide, that's how you end up with the paradigm shift. The other part, it's part of my family history. My father worked at City Day doing music. and he had a choir there. Just recently, I shared the City Day album with him, that we're going to go back and do the City Day song and more. Setting that up to say that looking at all the arts, that there are a lot of schools that don't have them, and for whatever reason why, but it's City Day, being partnered with, DCDC coming in, Muse Machine, K-12 Art Gallery, the list goes on. I think we're going to Lock Media tomorrow.
Yes.
So just exposing the students, not just to have them have those experiences, but having consistency. So imagine for us, 7 years into this, going back, looking at our second and third graders that are now middle school students now, and some that have moved on to high school, it's just a blessing, and that actually keeps us staying restorative.
I'll go next. So being at City Day for 18 years, I've been through a lot of highs and a lot of lows. At the beginning, I stayed because I enjoyed the kids. I did leave for a little bit, and then I came back because I had a friend who said that it's better than it was before. So I went back. Number one, it's the kids. I love them. I love watching them grow. I still have kids who are 24 coming to visit me. So there's that. The culture has changed. It's been fun to be a part of it and see it in all the different stages. At one point in our career, and Paula can talk about this, we would go to specials. We would have a special and then show up and the door's locked, and we don't, all of a sudden you don't have your planning period, and you've got, I was teaching kindergarten at the time, so you've got 20, 25 little 5-year-olds that you just need to be able to get your homework printed and stuff like that. You just need a little bit of time, and we don't do that anymore. I mean, it's very rare, very, very, very rare if we have to cancel a special. So we make sure that teachers get their planning periods, and we're a big family too. That's what keeps me. I mean, I love the students, I love the staff.
My father always said, if you love what you do, you never go to work. And I feel that way. I feel like now I'm gonna cry. But I feel like at this time, I don't go to work anymore. I just go to City Day because I love it. I love what I do. It's fun to see the accolades that we are being blessed with. We just received the Silver Award for Ohio Department of Education and Workforce. Bless that upon us. And like I said, people are starting to see. We knew, but now people are recognizing the good work that we're doing, and I think that's exciting. It's exciting to see that come about.
I think for me, why City Day? The easiest answer is because of the students and the staff. A lot of what I've tried to do with making my impact as far as being a school counselor is really honestly just trying to see students change their behaviors, whether it be getting into less fights or getting along with their peers or whatever the case may be. And I see that every single day. Outlining the success story that I had with the student earlier in the year, that's just one of at least about 20 or 30. So for me, it's very easy, just working with you all and working with the students. My goal at the very least is to always try to see them improve, and that helps me with improvement within myself. So it's very easy for me. That's the easiest answer for the students and also staff. Why City Day?
When I think of City Day, I think of my team. I think of not just you guys, I think of, our third floor. I think of how we are a family. We're all a family in the building, but when I think of every morning I come to work, I go to the third floor. Good morning, hey, I got this for you, I got this. So we're all a family. I love the students. I know they may not think so because I'm a lot tougher than my co-teacher, but and that's just because I expect so much of them. And thinking of what you said, Mr. Bell, success stories. I'm seeing that now. Last year when they were 7th graders, I saw where they were. and having those restorative chats, restorative conversations, thinking of different outlets where they know, hey, yes, you're still a child, but here, I'm here for you. Having them open up to me and me actually making a difference in their lives, not just academically, but personally. That's why City Day is so important to me. Like I said, I see them every day. I had a student last night text me and said, "It's your favorite student." And I'm like, "Oh Lord, what do you want?" But, just the fact that this morning she's like, "Oh, did you get my text? Did you know it was me?" That joy that she had, even just texting me. So that's what I like. I like my team, I like you guys, and I love my students.
Wow. Well, I guess it's me next, huh? We have a hashtag here that says more than just a school. And I would say within the last few years, I felt that as part of the restorative team, there's a lot of things within the students that I see growth in. But as a staff, we have really had the opportunity to become a family, more than just inside the school building, but we're a family outside of the school building. And one of the things that I love about City Day, even though we're not supposed to be a family, we are a family. And you can't take that away from it. And when you're a family, you can affect the community. When you affect the community, then you can help the county. Then when you help the county, you can help the state. Then when you help the state, you can help the country. So I said all that to say this. Even though there's a parable that says, a child don't care unless you can show that you really care. And I can say within the last couple of weeks, we put love into action. Yes. Where we go in our pockets, we feed kids that we know they're hungry. We go in our pockets, we buy clothes, we do everything that modern day school would not do. I wasn't bringing that up.
Wash and dry.
Yeah. That's a touchy subject.
But bless them.
But I will say as a faith-based component that even though God is everywhere, I believe that destiny has its place, and there is nothing that the enemy can do to close doors that God already opened.
You better preach.
More than just.
That's the faith phase.
I preface it.
That's part two.
Well, I'll end it, what I love about City Day. My kids, and I love my dad. And when I started at City Day, it was hard for me the first few years. It was just me and Paul. And she had to take the good and bad. But I have now 7 people that I can call on when I'm feeling somewhat kind of way. A lot of places have, it's lonely at the top. That's not true. If you put the right people around you. So when the burden gets too heavy for me, I call them, and they know. I text them at 12, 1, 2, 5. And listen, I need y'all to be in my office at 8 o'clock. And I just unload, and that's what it is. It's the passion and the love I have for everybody.
I love that. I understand you all have an enrollment event coming up. Can you share some information about
Yes, our enrollment event is next Tuesday, February 11th, from 9 to 12. Parents can stop by based upon the grade level of your child. We'll take you to that classroom. You can stand there for 5 minutes and watch the teacher teach and the students learn. The reason we're doing this is because we get an influx of a lot of kids at the end of the school year for the next school year. If you know you're not happy at the school that you are at right now, disrupt it. You don't have to wait until the end of the school year. Get them here so that we can build the process starting now. Now, let me say this, because It's a requirement to come here. You have to be a parent that's going to be involved, and you have to be on the same page with us. We have no problem taking challenging students, but when we call you, you need to come. Because this is what we found out. When parents and when the school and home are on the same page, there's nothing we can do. When the child cannot play us against each other, there's nothing we can do. We have proved it. We have proved it. It works. I always say we're going back to the old school way. Like when I was in school, I could go to school and cut the teacher out and then come home and think I'm gonna be on my cell phone all day. No, so that's the culture that we are building with parents. So if you want to stop by the school, 9 to 12 next Tuesday, just come in and see what we're doing. You can have an opportunity to go ahead and enroll your school students into City Day and get them started. We don't have a whole bunch of openings, but we would like to close it so that if you have an issue, we can get the child ready to go now so we can kick off next year on our way to that 100%.
Love that. Are all hearts and minds clear? Anybody want to add anything else? All right, well, thank you all for joining us. This is City Day Community Schools Superintendent Leadership Team, and I am Sierra Williams. Thank you.
Thank you.